Okay. Just I'm trying to cover one or two things. Um, how many hard disks are there? Only two hard disks. Why? I can add more hard disks. Only two hard disks are there. This is the third one is main hard disk, right? So I will add more hard disk. So hard disk, SCSI, new hard disk, 100. No, I will take 200. Maybe. Guys, look at here. This is the virtual machine is Hyper-V virtual machine. Now, actually, I missed one point in the virtualization, that is virtualization with OS kind of stuff. That's the thing. Okay. So that is I forget. So I will introduce that one first. Then only we'll continue. Then only we'll continue. So even the remaining things. Okay. So the first one is not other things. So very simple. When we are discussed about a server virtualization, desktop virtualization, or a type 1 virtualization, or a type 2 virtualization. Okay. So when we discuss about type 1 and type 2 virtualizations, okay, type 1 virtualization and a type 2 virtualization. This is not type 1, that is type 2, not a type 3 also. Okay. It's a type 1 virtualization, is a bare metal virtualization. Core hypervisor we are installing. Like you take a Hyper-V server we are installing on hardware. vSphere is installing on hardware. Okay. Xen server we are installing on a hardware. So that is type 1 virtualization. What is type 2 virtualization? Type 2 virtualization using some application like a VMware workstation, VMware player, Oracle VirtualBox, we can get a virtualization, virtual machines we are getting. Okay, so we are able to create a virtual machines, type 1 or a type 2, either type 1 or a type 2. So why type 1 is required? Centralized and enterprises. I'm in home, I want to create a virtual machine, I don't go to type 1. Why? Because it's a enterprise solution. Again, I have to take licenses, I have to build a one data center or a very big server, and I install one multiple servers I have to install. That is again cost related one. Okay, so I don't want to go with the type 1 virtualization. I'm trainer. I need a virtual machines for my myself training purpose and to give a training. Type 2 virtualization I prefer because I can run the machines in my regular desktop only. That is type 2 virtualization. Guys. Here it is not a type 1, not a type 2. There is certain purpose of this type of virtualization. It's like a type 1 virtualization only. It is not type 2 virtualization guarantee, but it's type 1 type virtualization only. It is here. If you take Windows, means Microsoft. In a Microsoft, Windows 8, in a certain places Windows 7 is there, but I don't believe in Windows 7. Windows 7, even any editions. I know Pro, I know Enterprise, I know other things. There is no Hyper-V direct installation option is not there. Okay. So 8, 8.1, Windows 10, Pro or Enterprise. Okay. We have a compulsory 64-bit. Okay. Hyper-V is there. Hyper-V along with the operating system. Hyper-V is a virtualization platform, hypervisor, but Hyper-V is not an application. It is just a feature. Remember, Hyper-V not application. It is feature. It is inside your PC. You can able to install in your PC if you are a professional or enterprise. Okay, Windows 8, 8.1, Windows 10, has a Hyper-V in Pro and Enterprises. Okay, so I am removing 64-bit. Yes, remember, if you have a 64-bit, Microsoft kind of stuff, right? A Windows 8 8.1 Pro 64-bit. So you will get a Hyper-V platform and Hyper-V manager. Actually, this is an introduction to Hyper-V. That time I have to tell, but I am telling now only. Hyper-V manager. Guys, Hyper-V manager manage Hyper-V host. Hyper-V host, either your local host or remote host. Otherwise, think like I'm telling about introduction to, yeah, I'm telling a Hyper-V introduction. Anyway, I'm going with this one. Hyper-V manager to manage virtual machines, Hyper-V host. So it can be a local host, means your PC, or maybe remote PC, remote one, either local one or a local host or a remote host. You can able to manage. Okay. Hyper-V platform. What is this Hyper-V platform? If you able to install Hyper-V platform, if you are able to install Hyper-V platform, you can and run VMs in your local PC. Okay, in your local PC. So you have a laptop and it is in Windows 10 installed. It is a professional edition or maybe enterprise edition. You can install Hyper-V platform and a manager. Both you should install. So then you can create and run the virtual machine in your laptop with the help of Hyper-V manager. Hyper-V manager. If in case you are a 32-bit candidate, okay, you're a 32-bit. I am writing X32 for a representing 32-bit. Okay, so or you can write 64-bit or like that also. I'm using X32, so representing it's 32-bit. Okay, remember that one. You will can able to install Hyper-V manager only. Hyper-V manager only. So you can able to install Hyper-V manager only. You cannot create and run virtual machines in your local PC if you are a 32-bit. Next, another condition is for anyone, either any platform, any virtualization platform for any hypervisor, any type of hypervisor it is, application based, direct OS based, or along with the OS, whatever it is, for any type of hypervisor, any hypervisors in your hardware, means CPU, virtualization must enable. I think guys, you are already a little bit experienced with this kind of stuff. Okay, so when you are creating a virtual machine and you start a virtual machine, it's calling right now, so virtualization is not enabled. Okay, so compulsory verify your virtualization in your PC or in your host. Host means in your server. When you are purchasing a server or go to BIOS, make sure that virtualization must be enabled. So go to BIOS and enable the virtualization. BIOS or UEFI settings. Enable virtualization. Okay, so remember this point also. Okay, so this is about your Hyper-V with a Microsoft Windows client operating system. But Microsoft again in a Hyper-V only. I'm talking about Hyper-V. Okay, Microsoft Windows servers. Now it is Windows servers. The version starts here. 2008 x64 means 64-bit 2008 server. 2008 R2. So 32-bit or 64-bit 2008 R2. 2012 R2. 2016 2019. Of course, new version is 2022. I'm not writing that one because we are not yet started that one. Okay, guys. 2003 32-bit 64 both are there. That's why I specified 64-bit. 2008 R2, 2012 R2, 2016 only pure form of 64. It is only 64-bit is there. And only important point is here in your hardware, make sure you should have a virtualization and it must be enabled. It must be enabled. It must be enabled. Okay, so only hardware wise. In operating system wise, 2008 64, 2008 R2, 12 R2, 16, 2019 Windows servers having virtualization feature. Virtualization as a role. So what is virtualization errors? Hyper-V as role. It is there. Guys, in all the type of virtualizations, all the type of servers like a 2008 R2, sorry, R2, 2012 R2, 2016 and 19, I've seen Hyper-V. Okay, it is simply a role. Just install the role, you'll get a Hyper-V. Okay, so and you will get a platform, you will get a manager also. You'll get a platform, you'll get a manager also. And in your BIOS, make sure virtualization must be enabled. Okay, because of your Windows 8 and 10 having different editions. But one more thing I forget to like, right? So when we are writing a Hyper-V specifically in these things, I want to ask a question. Okay, Windows server, any edition? So I am going to editions. I'm asking about only 2 editions. Okay, so can you tell me, guys, 2016 or 19 you practice?
16, sir.
2016.
So can you tell 2016 Windows Server 2016 editions? Sorry, 16 editions. Okay. Standard edition. Remember? Data center.
Data center.
Very good. Another one. Essentials. Essential or essentials. One more edition is not edition, guys. It is a separate server. Hyper-V server 2016. It is a core Hyper-V server. It means no server OS, roles, features are not there. Okay, it's a pure form of server. Okay, but here it is. This is important now. Standard data center essentials. Even though I don't like essentials, essentials are at 25 users. Support 50 device. Support 50 devices and no ADDS, no Active Directory Domain Control, no IDD. No Active Directory, domain controllers kind of stuff. No Active Directory, no DC, no and nothing. This kind of small organization purpose. So I don't log it. Can anybody tell difference between standard and a data center?
So
Standard
we
and
can
data
host two virtual machine in
center.
Hyper-V in standard, and we can host unlimited virtual machine in data center.
Very good, very good. Two virtual machines can run at a time. How many machines you created? But two machines only we can run at a time per license, per core license. It is a per core license, okay? Not per user license. User license separate license, okay? So Microsoft follow for a server licenses. It's a per core license is also there. So per core license, okay, means in a processor we have one core, right? Each core is per core license. Per processor license is different. Per core license is different. If you use Xenon processor, 10 cores are there. The 10 core means 10 licenses per core. Okay, very good. So very good. That is two virtual machines can run at a time in the standard edition. That's though there is no difference between minimum, maximum of a hardware, minimum, maximum of users, okay, servers, anything, roles, features wise, standard data center, no differences. Only difference is standard two virtual machines we can run at time. Unlimited VMs can create, okay, per core license. Again, per core or per license, okay, per core, per license. Unlimited virtual machines. So yeah, so many virtual machines you can able to create. There is one problem is there. 1024 VMs can run at a time. Okay, can run at a time. So that is a major difference between Windows Server, Standard, and Data Center. Of course, same for 2012, same for 2012 and 2019 also. The thing is not yet changed. 2012, 2019, 2016. Okay, for all these things, same only, then no difference. 2008, I'm not much reading about things. Maybe it is same. Okay, guys. So this is so major difference between standard and data center. And this is Hyper-V 2008. Sorry, Hyper-V server 2012 or 2016 or 2019. It's a core Hyper-V. Means no voice kind of stuff. Okay, no voice kind of stuff. This along with the operating system. This is along with operating system. This is core operating system. This is about a basic thing about your Hyper-V. Anyway, I told about a Hyper-V, so I will continue about a Hyper-V also. It's quite easy. Important in a Windows 10 kind of stuff. Here it is. Okay, Windows 8 like Windows 10 kind of stuff. So first one, I already added a one kind of stuff here. You can see for hypervisors, we need this one. Guys, anybody tell Windows 10 64-bit minimum RAM? How much RAM is required for a Windows 10 64-bit?
2 GB.
2 GB. Very good. Windows Server 2016 minimum RAM.
2 GB also.
2 GB. That is also 2 GB. Okay. So
Sir,
you
in
want
virtual machines
Hyper-V.
are running on 1 GB, right?
Which one?
In VMware, we are running the Windows Server on 1 GB itself.
Because of your main RAM is very less.
Yes, sir. That's why we can allocate like minimum it can be like 512 also there.
We can do it, but it is very dead slow. That's not a healthy one. Okay. Because of our physical machines are 4 GB physical machines, you can't run we can't run a 2 GB plus 2 GB we can't run. So that's why we are giving 1 plus 1 GB, 1 GB for server, 1 GB for client. But as per the minimum requirement specifications given by Microsoft is 2 GB must for installation. Okay. You can give less, but it will take a lot of time sometimes. Okay. Not for running. Running, you need more RAM. Running, really you're running a server means you need more RAM. Okay. But for installing Hyper-V, you are adding a Hyper-V, the additionally 2 GB RAM required. Additional 2 GB RAM for installing Hyper-V. So that is keeping these two things in the mind. One is secondary address translation must be enabled. Secondary address translation. What is secondary address translation? Virtualization must be enabled. Additionally, 2 GB RAM for installing Hyper-V. So for installing Hyper-V, we need these two things, guys. Look at these two things. Okay. Along with operating system, we got this Hyper-V. Hyper-V is not an application, it is a feature or a role in the machines. It is available in Windows 8, 8.1, Windows 10, Pro and Enterprises. And it is also there in a Windows 2008, 64-bit, 2008 R2, 2012, 12 R2, 12, 16, 2019 also. Okay, so as a role. Okay, and to install it compulsory virtualization must be enabled. Additionally 2 GB RAM is required. Okay, so this is about your Hyper-V, first part of Hyper-V. Guys, if you look at here, so this is my 4 GB RAM because this is a Windows server, 2 GB minimum and added 2 GB extra for Hyper-V running. Not required, guys, no problem. If you use 2 GB here, also no problem. Just for a looking at a Hyper-V. I don't think so Hyper-V will work in your machines. You need a separate connection for that one. You want to run install Hyper-V in your servers. You should know how to install a Windows servers for installing Hyper-V inside. Okay, you should know how to create your virtual machine. You should know how to create a virtual machines to install Hyper-V in it. To install Hyper-V in it. So for that purpose, okay, you should know it. So yeah, I think so. Most of you don't know. No problem. Okay, it's not a big deal. And processor is there, and some hard disk are extra. I added some more things. So I'm going to power on this virtual machine. Okay. So let it start. Meanwhile, what you have to do? Relax, relax. Don't worry. Huh? What happened to my VC getting ready? it is got something like updated. It will take time. Yeah, we got a screen. Alt Control Insert. Yeah, I didn't put my PC into domain controller. I didn't create any domain controller. When I create this virtual machine, I recorded a video. CTS7 batch purpose. But what happened for a CTS7 batch? They skipped like no. I am unable to take the class for 7. I think I'd say can not taken. No, I didn't remember. Okay, so search in my channel like you can find create a virtual machine for a server. Yeah, expiring soon. It is already expired only. Okay, 13 days left. No problem. Okay, so this is yeah. I took in the classes. So right. Okay, wait for some time. Server manager is also open. Okay. Actually, I want to tell some other things, but I came to Hyper-V. Okay, so guys, when any interviewer or anyone is asking question about a virtualization or a Hyper-V, so you have to tell about these things. Hyper-V is not a application. It is not a application. It is a feature in your Windows 8, 8.1, Windows 10 Pro and Enterprises. It is a role in a Windows servers. In a Windows Server 2008 on 2019, 2016, 2012, 2008, 8R2. Go from top to bottom, bottom to top. That is completely your wish. Okay. To install Hyper-V compulsory, any virtualization platform you required, any desktop virtualization, type 1, type 2 virtualization, any virtual machines related virtualization you required, guys, compulsory virtualization must be enabled in your BIOS. Additional RAM requirement to run the virtual machines in the platform. Okay, so that is another very important thing. So that is two things. Okay, so fourth one is I want to say like sorry. That is at least you should speak. Okay. Now I want to tell only one thing about a Hyper-V. I'm not going further. Only one thing. There is in a Hyper-V is also used to create a virtual machines, right? Hyper-V is used to create a virtual machines. When you are creating a virtual machines, there is a two only options are there. First option is like a generation 1, second one is generation 2. So what is the difference between generation 1 and generation 2? That's it. Okay. I'm not going with any other things today. Okay, today mainly. Okay, networking is there. That networking is very beautiful concept, but still the time, your length, your idea, your knowledge is important, right? So how much you can able to receive, that is important, guys. Study, daily study, guys. So that is important. Okay. Okay. Already Hyper-V is installed in my PC. You know how to install Hyper-V? Very simple. Go to manage, add roles and features. Guys, it is already installed. So I just showing an option where it is located. You know that one. This is Hyper-V. Can you see? This is Hyper-V. Hyper-V install. Okay, so that's already installed. So you have to select Hyper-V. A box is appear. Add add kind of stuff. Add feature kind of stuff. Just click on that box. Add features. Next text. Check mark. There is a last check mark is there. No? Check mark and install. That's it. No need to do anything. Okay. This is Hyper-V. And you want to read about Hyper-V, anything, just go through Hyper-V. Click on Hyper-V, read it also. You can see, okay, you can read it. So you can say an answer like what is the Hyper-V? Then immediately Hyper-V provide that service that you can use to create and manage virtual machines, their resources. Each virtual machine is a virtualized computer system and operates in a isolated execution. Like that you can tell answer. Okay. So whatever it is, guys, this is my machine. It is not in a domain controller currently. So even though I didn't have a plan for that one. Okay, and these are my virtual machines, including the internal and external switches also there. So we'll see that one. I'm minimizing this one. I'm opening my Hyper-V manager. This is my Hyper-V manager. Okay, so it is Hyper-V manager. Guys, two virtual machines are there. Two virtual machines already there. If you look at this Hyper-V manager, when I click on Hyper-V manager, so you can see connected to server. I can right click connected to server, or you can see connected to server. Meaning is you can manage your PC as a local computer, or you can connect it to remote PC and you can manage that hypervisor. Like I have a Hyper-V server, like a vSphere server, like a vSphere server. It is remotely vSphere server is there. I'm accessing from my PC with a web browser. Okay, like I have a in my network. I have a Hyper-V server is there. I can access from here. I can access from here with a server manager. Hyper-V manager. Sorry, Hyper-V manager. I can able to access. This is Hyper-V manager. Okay, if you have a platform, local computer, if your remote server having a platform, another computer, or both. Okay, like that. So here it is. This is my computer name. So you can see my server name. This is my server name. You can see in my server, two machines are running. Okay. If you are in our institute or an organization, physical classroom is there, physical machines are there. So at least I can show you how to access that one. Really, in a real time also we showed that one. Okay. So virtual environment, you can't do anything. Okay, guys, these are the virtual machines. In the left, right side, you can see right side. So new, import virtual machines, Hyper-V settings, virtual switch manager, virtual SAN manager, edit disk, inspect disk, stop services, remove services, refresh, view, help is there. When you click on a server, when you click on a virtual machine, the virtual machine related settings also displaying here, like a connect, settings, start, checkpoint, move, export, rename, delete, replication, and help. Okay, so these are the things. So this point is virtual machines are showing here. Here it is. If checkpoints are there, it will show here. This is the status of your virtual machine, some memory, networking, replication, related information you can able to see. Okay, guys, up to now, Hyper-V.
Yes, sir. Sir, it is a feature in Windows and role in Windows Server, sir.
Very good. That's it. Got the point.
Okay.
Okay. I'm already installed, so I can't able to show you how to install it. Maybe in my previous videos it is there how to install it. Windows 10 also we can install, but you need a one setting to do it before you create a virtual machine. Okay. Practically you want to do it, you can do it. Problem is that. Okay. Okay, so this is new. If you see the new, you can see virtual machine, virtual hard disk, virtual floppy disk. Three things you can able to create it. So you can create a virtual machine, virtual hard disk, or a floppy disk. Here is a virtual switch manager. This is virtual switch manager. You can create a different type of switches also. Already I told you these switches I will tell in mixing of network virtualization. So then it is quite easy to complete both the things and Hyper-V switches also. Okay, it is Hyper-V switches. So we are in Hyper-V. The unique way is one more is there. So guys, you look at here, virtual switch manager. In a Hyper-V, virtual switch manager covers your network virtualization, one part of network virtualization, not all parts. Okay, new hard disk. When you are creating a new hard disk, it is also covers like this. This covers these two things. This one covers some part of your storage virtualization. some part in your storage virtualization. Very simple, guys. Microsoft virtual hard disk, formats VHD, VHDX. VHD set is new one, but commonly it is VHD, VHDX. What is the difference? Okay, so VHD support up to 2 terabytes. VHDX support up to 64 terabytes of virtual hard disk. Mainly two type of virtual hard disk are there: fixed type, dynamically expanding type. Fixed size, dynamically expanding. Differencing is +1. Totally 3. So fixed, dynamically expanding, differencing. So fixed size means when you create a virtual hard disk, it occupies size in your physical place. Dynamically expanding means if you keep putting a data into virtual hard disk, the virtual hard disk size will increases up to you specified a size. Differencing is parenting child type of disk association will come up, like a parent child relationship disk will get it. Okay, so parent disk is a main disk, child disk is a like a slave disk type. So in a child disk you can change anything, you can change the data in the child disk, but it won't affect any your parent disk. Very good. Say, so no one is understanding anything finally. Okay, switches also like that. External switch are used to connect external network. Internal switch are connected from virtual machine to external switches are used to connect virtual machine to external physical networks. Internal switches are using to connect your virtual machine to virtual machine and virtual machine to physical machine communication. Private switches are used to communication between virtual to virtual, but virtual to physical connection is not there. Virtual to physical machine or virtual to physical network communication is not there. Only virtual machine to virtual machine communication. See how fast we can able to complete. Don't worry, guys. I will tell these two things. If I forget also, please remind me tomorrow. Okay, first I will tell virtual switch manager. Okay, I am telling only virtual machine today. Okay, this is the virtual machine, new virtual machine. This is the wizard. First, you should give a virtual machine name. I'm giving any name, so like my VM2. I put a my VM1, any name, and where you want to store, you can store in E drive, F drive, G, like that. Where you want to store your virtual machine. Generation 1, generation 2. There is a generations of virtual machines. Generation of virtual machine. That is important point here. Okay. Create a new VM in Hyper-V. Okay. When you are creating, it is asking generation. Guys, when you are creating a virtual machine in VMware, okay, both workstation and as well as a vSphere. Okay, so it is asking which type of OS, 32-bit or 64-bit, Windows, Linux, or CentOS, or maybe Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or maybe Oracle Enterprise Linux, or Windows 10, Windows servers, like that names are there. Now it is not there here. In Hyper-V, either generation 1 and generation 2. Generations of virtual machines. Okay, generations of virtual machines or a generation one. Second one is generation 2. Okay, it won't ask anything. Okay, so here is the statement. Is as per the statement you can see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will already have a screenshots are there. Already I have a screenshot. It is taking a lot of time if I click this here. full snipping. I have a full screenshots of how to install Hyper-V, like this, everything. I took while I'm doing only, I taken a screenshots. If you want, I will show you once all the screenshots. Okay, so here it is. What I'm going to do, I will trim. I'll put like this. You can read it, the statements from the generation 1, generation 2 kind of stuff. Okay, generation 1 and the generation 2. Hyper-V, generation 1 and generation 2. So can you able to read it? This virtual machine generation support 32-bit and 64-bit guest operating system and provide a virtual hardware which has been available in all previous versions of Hyper-V. Generation 2, this virtual machine generations provide support for a newer virtualization features as a UEFI based firmware requires as a supported 64-bit guest operating system. Guys, earlier we have a thing is like if you have a Windows generation 2 support only Windows kind of stuff. Now little sentence is changed, so you can able to write line. Okay, exactly say generation support BIOS based OS. That's it is all previous world kind of stuff. So BIOS based operating systems. Okay, exactly say any operating system 32-bit OS and 64-bit OS also it is support. 32-bit OS, 64-bit OS. Exactly like a Windows OS, Windows, Linux, Unix, like it support a different type of operating system. So it's don't worry about what type of operating system. So generation 1 is happy generation 1. Okay. Then this is support UEFI based OSs. UEFI based OSs. Support 64-bit OS. Support 64-bit OS. So it is not saying Windows or Linux. Okay, so operating system, it's a newer version of operating systems which support UEFI and 64. Better is newer version of OSs. Okay, so it is not saying Windows or Linux kind of stuff. So mostly Windows 10, Windows 8, 8.1, Windows servers 2012, 2012 onwards it support. Okay, 12 like that it's generation 1, generation 2. Not finished guys. So I'll go to another one. See, I'm selecting generation 1 and look at closely. So this is a RAM. Okay, you can select how much RAM you want it, 2048 like that. So how much RAM you want it, you can say this is the dynamic memory. So what is the dynamic memory? Dynamic memory means 1024 and I selected dynamic memory. So what happened? Look at here. Oh, it is already. This is my virtual machine. Guys, this is virtual machine. And I put a 1024 startup RAM. And I selected dynamic. So what happened? When I start this virtual machine, the RAM is 1024. To start the virtual machine, 1024. Now, virtual machine is started, completed. Started, completed. Okay, start. Now it is working. It is not required to use 1024 RAM size. It is not required. Now it is not consuming 102. I given 1024, like I have a 12 GB RAM, but my system is not using 12 GB entirely, right? My PC having a 12 GB RAM, but it's not consuming 12 GB. So like that, this virtual machine is, I am giving 1 GB, but it is not consuming 1 GB. So it is currently utilizing 800 MB. It's currently utilizing 800 MB. It is fall down, okay? 800 MB. So it consume from physical RAM 800 MB only. Okay, maybe further it is using only 600 MB. It use from physical RAM 600 MB only. Because of the dynamic, at the time of starting only it use 102 RAM. After boot completed, once system is booted, means virtual machine is booted, based on the virtual machine utilization, it use. Yeah, very good, right? This is very good one. If main virtual machine is using 800 MB only, not 1 GB, it consumes 1 GB from the RAM, so you will get a lot of space. If it is consuming only 600 MB is enough for a virtual machine, 600 MB is enough for a virtual machine, it utilizes 600 MB only. Very good feature, right? But also reverse side is also there. What is the reverse side? If it is, for example, it is need a 1.2 GB, 1.2 GB, it will utilize 1 point. It increases also 1.5, 2 GB, like that. If required, it expands. If not required, then it is reduced from your physical RAM. So that is a dynamic memory. That is a dynamic memory. Advantage as well as a disadvantage is there. Network connection not connected, it is showing. Okay, so I'm collecting some network adapter. I will explain this network adapter tomorrow. Okay, so I'm selecting some network adapter which is already I created. Guys, here it is. If you see, this is a virtual hard disk. How much you can able to put it? This is a VHDX 64 terabytes. Up to 64 terabytes of virtual hard disk you can able to create. I am putting something 20 GB. Okay, 20 GB. That's enough. Next. Install operating system later. Now you don't want to install. Install operating system from bootable CD DVD. You can install OS from physical DVD. You can install OS from ISO image. Like you install a Windows 10 Windows Server, Linux, that is ISO image file. That is ISO image file. This is physical DVD. This is ISO image file. That's the difference. See, you have a physical DVD, CD-ROM, you insert it. You can install physical DVD, ISO image file, bootable floppy drive, bootable floppy disk, virtual floppy disk drive, or a network-based installation. Network-based installation. That's it. I'm going back. Don't worry, I'm going back. Generation 2, guys. Generation 2. I'm selecting generation 2. Same options, no difference. But here is a difference. What is missing here?
OS.
Physical DVD. Voice selection. Physical DVD
Yes,
missing.
sure.
Virtual floppy disk is missing. Okay. So that is the main thing. In the generation 1.
Sir,
Yes,
hello.
tell me.
Can you send a 8th batch, 9th batch previously asked interview questions, sir? 8th and 9th.
8th batch, 9th batch, interview question, just better ones ask Madhu sir only. Okay.
I told he share, he forgot, I think. He told he will share, but afterwards, he said I will share afterwards. He did not
Okay,
share.
sir will share.
Only,
Okay.
only, only
If
interview
I
questions.
find anything, I will share. Okay. Direct questions are there. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
I will try. So don't worry.
The day after tomorrow, we are having interview.
Final
Day after tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Your syllabus is not completed yet.
Yes, sir.
Mine is today second day, third, fourth. Your interview may be on Monday, 7th.
No, sir. Just no.
Check
No, sir.
WhatsApp, sir.
New update came, sir, in group.
Check WhatsApp, sir.
I'll check.
Sir,
Batch
we
10,
have
sir.
also got a mail from Charan, sir.
Batch 10, sir.
Best
So
and
mail got
WhatsApp group. 1 second. This is ridiculous. Okay, night I will verify any batch 8 or 9, any previous interview questions. Okay, but there are not in order, so I will put all the questions. Guys, interview questions are important. Is Linux? There are keep on asking Linux. 1 second, we are in a different mode, right? Just give me 5 minutes. I will complete it and I will talk directly. Okay, just 5 minutes. Okay, otherwise I will mixing. Okay, so in a voice selection. So here you are getting physical DVD is accepting here. ISO image file. Virtual floppy disk you can boot, and also you can boot with a network based installation. Okay, so these are the things, but here it is in a OS selection. So in a OS source selection means the ways. Okay, I will stop after this one. Okay, so ISO image virtual no ISO image and network based installation only. Okay, of course install later also option is there. Okay, so not OS select, it is actually we got a OS related selection option. Source option. Source. Okay, so this is a generation 1, generation 2 I want to tell. Okay, that's it. That's about your Hyper-V, guys. Okay, so this is like that. So you can select your image file, browse. So where if in case if you have, then we can able to get it. Okay, I have some OS file is there. My next, you can finish it. See, this is how to create a virtual machine. Now this is virtual machine is created. Right click, just connect. You want to change any settings, also you can do settings. To start, checkpoint, move, export, like this. Okay, you can start the machine, then you can choose options for operating system installation. You can install the OS. That's it. Okay, so I'm not going further, and we don't have time. And you put a little small bomb also. So okay, so that's it about your Hyper-V basic things, like what is Hyper-V, what is generation 1 and generation 2, how to create a virtual machine. That's it. Now I will going to record stop.